Day one. Then right me, right time, you get after for 6-8 seconds. Guys, this is what we had to get. This ain't the one we want. You got that
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Laurel Lady Tornadoes Sports Show. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds, of course, joined alongside Kevan Lindsey and my good friend and yours, Josh Guru Nichols. Guys, a lot of fun over the weekend. You know, we had had the semifinals in college football. We had the first round of the NFL playoffs. It's a fun time in sports because there's just so much going on. The only thing missing is we wish, that maybe there was still a little bit of high school football going on as well. But
was it fun, Jack? Was it a fun weekend?
Not in all the games, and we'll get to that here in a second, because I'm going to be in agreement with you when we get to that. So, but yeah, we'll talk about the games that happened. We'll talk about the semifinal in the college football playoffs. But first, Kevin, you went to a Laurel basketball game last night, saw both the boys and the girls play. Tell us a little bit about the game last night.
Yeah, I saw half of the girls' game because of an incident we had, a wreck, because, news happens and you have to go to it. But, yeah, I don't know how much of the girls' game it really was. The final score, which I thought was going to be a really good game, both teams, Laurel and North Pike, had really good records. You had Laurel come in with 15 wins, and North Pike come in with 15 wins. But it ended up being a nearly 60-point blowout. It was 77-24. The girls went final. I'm pretty sure really hardly any of the starters played much in the second half whenever I got there. You had Carly Hunter. She had 13 points for the Lady Tornadoes. Graceland Carmichael, she also had 13. You had Jayla DeBose, she had 11. And Zy Evans, she led all scorers with 16 points, nearly scoring as much as North Pike did for the entire game. Yeah, I mean, it was just, it was a throttling, and we talked about it. I told you guys last week that Laurel girls, they're just on another level, and they proved it. And just talking to Coach Cooley, one of the things that I asked her, off record, but kind of on record too, was just how do you keep your girls confident? Like, how do you keep your girls going whenever they're beating people by 20, 30, in this case, 51 points? And her answer was simple. They stay confident in their abilities, but they also have a bench who probably, some of their girls could probably start elsewhere if they really wanted to. And she was quick to point out that those freshmen and sophomores, they're coming for those seniors, and they give them, in practice, they give them heck in every practice. So if you're worried about a big fall off for Laurel girls, the way she talked, there wouldn't be much for this senior loaded team. And that's scary to think about, that you have underclassmen that are pushing your seniors who are blowing people out by this. In the boys' game, it was a lot closer of a game. The boys did win. Laurel boys won 52-49. You had Lorenzo Ross. He scored 14 to lead Tornado scores. And Zadrian McCormick, if y'all don't remember that name, played a little bit of football. And he had 10 points, and all 10 points came in the fourth quarter for him. So North Pike, they lived and died by the three-point ball. They carried the lead in the first half behind the 3 points. I was trying to tally it up back there, but ended up getting busy. But man, they were hitting every three that they went for in the first half, and that gave them a lead. And then Laurel switched. I asked Coach Pettis about it, what changed, because they held North Pike to 5 points in the third quarter. And he said, we just brought out our big, tall guys, athletic guys, and we switched to a 2-3 zone. And he said we put our tall guys out. He said we went with the press for a little bit. He said I took a chance and kind of slowed North Pike down. Once they hit a 3, we went back and went to our normal defense, but we stayed in a 2-3 zone, and we kept our tall guys on the outside. Made anything that they tried for with a 3 contested, and that really changed things. Honestly, that changed things in the game. Of course, McCormick going off with 10 in the fourth, including a dunk near the end. That kind of sealed it. And one thing I'll say that Coach Pettis talked about was the boys just kept encouraging one another. This was a team that was like 2-8 at one point in the season, and they've kind of come back, and I think this is their 6th win. Still have a losing record, but they are got that district win, which was big for them against a good North Pike team.
So some fun basketball in the boys' game. Girls' game wasn't as close as you expected. Wasn't close at all.
No.
Just, it's Laurel's girls are just on another level, and it's going to be interesting to see how far they can take this thing this year. They've got such a solid program there. I mean, the last couple of years they've been like this. Will this be the year that they can finally go ahead and bring home the gold? Guru, this being your alma mater, I mean, I know you're a huge tornado, from your days there, so what do you think of the way the season's shaping up for their two teams?
Love Coach Cooley. We had a spat one time, long time ago, but we put that behind us and we're buddies again. Her team, with the way Kevin was explaining them, reminds me a lot of LSU women's basketball right now, because they also have a really solid group of underclassmen mixed with their, upperclassmen. And I've watched 90% of their games this year, and they can run a new set of 5 out on the court at any time. And that set of 5 is just as good as most of the opposition that they've been playing. And when you have that much depth, especially on the high school level, I mean, that's going to bode well, not only down the stretch when we get to the playoffs, but also, like Kevin mentioned, moving forward in the seasons to come. When you're running sophomores and freshmen out there, that means, you're looking at 2-3 more solid years. And if that's the kind of development that they have right now, coming down the pike after those girls get to be upperclassmen, it's just going to be recycling over and over. And I think it might be a little bit of a stretch to say, but I think for the foreseeable future, for the next 4 years at least, and going back to the last 2 or 3 years, we might be in the midst of a Lady Tornado semi-dynasty, if you will, with their recent success and what we're looking forward to them possibly doing at the end of this year and then moving forward into the next couple of years. So, for Laurel girls basketball, it's sky's the limit. The boys have had a kind of up and down year, kind of similar to the football team. Slow start, starting to get on track in district play. But over the years, they've been kind of a model of consistency for Laurel High for boys basketball, and it won't be surprising if they are able to make a deep run in the playoffs and at least get to the quarterfinals, if not make it to the big house.
Yeah.
Kevin, the big game this weekend coming up on Friday night, correct?
Yeah.
You've got inter-county rivals, Laurel and South Jones. District matchup now as well, so it has huge implications coming up there. Tell Kevin, you've seen Laurel play. Have you seen South yet?
No, I haven't seen South. I've been hearing about them. I don't think the girls' contest will be that competitive. No disrespect to South Jones at all. I mean, it's just what I saw last night, or Tuesday night, I should say, with the Lady Tornadoes. Just the effort, even in what would be considered garbage time for the Lady Tornadoes, there was so much effort, and that's what I praise Coach Cooley about. And what we talked about in post game is the effort that they had. They were still going for steals and things like that because those underclassmen were hungry, and I think that South Jones they're going to be in for it. I mean, obviously games are played on the court, not on paper, but I think the boys' game will be a lot more competitive. I'm interested in seeing how Laurel responds after getting that district win, region win, however you want to call it. But South Jones, from what I understand, is really good. They've got a couple of really good players. They've got a transfer from Bay Springs, Jackson Morris. He can hit the three, almost blindfolded. They've got a couple more players, even after Ashton McGee, who's the star last year, graduated and he's moved on to the D1 level. They still have players that are really solid. I think one player is actually getting looked at, getting on D1 action out there. So it's going to be really cool to see what that is. Obviously, I think it's played at South Jones, if I'm not mistaken. So always fun to hit up the reservation out there. So that'll be something.
And you are going to cover those particular games?
Yeah, I plan on it. Yeah.
Gotcha. You know, Guru, I know you study pretty much all the teams. What do you make of? Obviously, I think we all agree the Laurel girls team is on another level, but in this boys competition, what do you think? Do you think that Laurel has sparked themselves with the win last night, or do you think that this is going to be an uphill battle for them? What type of game are you expecting?
I think last night, the win over North Pike is going to give them some positive momentum, but I think that potentially this South Jones team has a chance to exceed what last year's team did, mainly because the whole team, every time they played, everything was focused around Ashton. And you see it at the high school level, the collegiate level, professional level. When there's that one superstar, that's the guy that everybody's looking at. That's the guy. And I mean, they did have some key contributors around McGee last year, but when you have a team of just solid players, it makes it a little bit different. Yeah. And I say that to say, it should be a competitive game. Anytime two of our local county schools hook up, and it don't matter if they're playing ping pong or they're doing underwater basket weaving. I mean, they're going to give everything they have. I think on the boys' side, I think South will end up prevailing. And I unfortunately for you, Kevin, you can probably be late to the girls' game because South comes in at 2-16, and if a 15-win North Pike team gets beat by almost 60, it could be very, very ugly.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Kevin, I know you also have worked up, a little bit of a recap on where our local soccer teams stand, including West Jones having clinched their district. So walk us through, where each of the teams, and before folks ask about Laurel is on a downward spin this year. So unfortunately, we won't have much to say about them on this, but you will give us an update on West Jones, South Jones, and Northeast Jones soccer teams.
Yeah, it's kind of where teams basically, I don't want to down Laurel, but where realistically they have shots to win the region and stuff. It's kind of where I'm looking at. West Jones soccer, they have all but clinched their region in 6A. The boys and girls went down to George County Monday night. We talked about it last week. They went down there. They were both had eyes on that game because both teams beat George County. But if George County was to win these games, that would come down to goal differential. And the girls made sure that it did not come down to goal differential. Matt Reed had his girls ready, and they won 6-0 according to Max Preps. And they're pretty much in the driver's seat unless a catastrophic thing happens and they lose to a Jim Hill or something. They pretty well won the region. On the boys' side, it was the same way. I think it was a 1 or 2 goal score game last time they played George County. Coach Sullivan, he was talking about this game. Going down there is a whole different thing than playing at home, and they end up posting a shutout too. They win 2-0. So again, it's one of those things where if it's a catastrophic thing that happens, it would come down to goal differentials and things like that. But for the most part, West Jones should be classified, I think, or nearly completed of being region champs. So they're definitely fully in the driver's seat. When you look at South Jones, the girls unfortunately lost to Sumrall. They lost 2-1, so that takes them out again, it's a situation for Summerall like it is for West Jones. It would take something catastrophic to happen.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I believe they're pretty well almost out of the region title chances there. For the boys, South Jones, they beat Brookhaven 3-1. In the last game that they played against Summerall, they lost by 1 goal. So unless I'm missing something, I know me and Coach Gleason talked about it, it was going to come down to goal differential. So I may be completely wrong, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. Since they won 3-1 and the last game was a 1 goal differential, they had to have that extra goal. So by them winning by 2, I think that sets them up to win the region.
You said Brookhaven, but you meant Summerall, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, Summerall. I'm so sorry. Yes, Summerall.
No, that's good.
So yeah, it was the girls and boys with Summerall. But I think that South Jones now is in the driver's seat with goal differential to
That'd be
win.
correct.
Yeah. So now anything can happen. You know, this is a Brookhaven.
And that's if they both finish with the exact same record in district play.
District record, and that's another thing too. And I think this is why I said Brookhaven, is because South Jones has to play Brookhaven again. And while they did win that game convincingly down the stretch, Coach Gleason was very, very adamant that, hey, this Brookhaven team, while fundamentally they may not be on the same par as South Jones, they're fast and they played fast. And they kind of threw South Jones off a little bit because South Jones wants to play slower. They want to hold the ball and control the ball a little bit more. And that was posing problems early on. So I think that's why I said I had Brookhaven on my mind, because that game's coming up in looming. And if something was to happen there, well, that throws a wrench in South Jones's region title hopes.
Coach Gleason, you know, in my time covering them, he's a very possession-controlled coach. Last year when I went to several of their games, I was really impressed with how well, because it seemed like every player on that pitch knew exactly where their teammates were, how to commit the open pass. You know, the one game I saw this year, that wasn't quite as fluid yet, but it was still early in the season. Kevin, I know you covered them some last year as well too. Are you seeing a little bit more of them being able to find the space and find their players, you know, find their teammates and find the correct passing angles, or does it still look like there's a little off based on where they were last year?
I think obviously I haven't seen them before. I saw them before the Christmas break, and Coach Gleason talked about that. He stressed that. That's another thing that he wants to make sure that they understand, to play team ball. Don't just kick it to kick it. Kick the ball, knowing where it's going to be on the pitch, knowing where it needs to be on the pitch. And I think that that's kind of where they're at. And I think that's why they were able to beat Summerall 3-1, is because they're probably turning into that team that they were last year that went to a state championship, because Summerall is by no means a slouch in soccer. In 4A, they were always really good. Back whenever I covered sports in Hattiesburg, their girls and their boys team, both really good teams, and really sound fundamental teams. So them beating Summerall 3-1 says a lot, I think. This is a team that gave West Jones fits. They've given Northeast Jones fits. So, you know, Summerall is very much well known around the Pine Belt as being a very good team. Moving forward a little bit, looking at Northeast Jones, the girls, they're 6-1 in the district. The boys, they also have 1 loss in the district. They're going to need some help. They're going to need a lot of help. They're down by multiple goals. The boys, I think I said Stone. I didn't write it. Yeah, Stone for the boys. And the girls, I think it was East Central that they've lost to earlier in the season. They need a lot of help because they lost by multiple goals. I don't think they're necessarily out of it. Again, it's a situation. It goes back to West and South, where if something happens to East Central or something happens to Stone, obviously things can change. But right now, it looks like the best case scenario for our Pine Belt teams, West Jones wins the regions. They'll win their region. They'll host throughout the playoffs. Looks like South is in that spot to potentially win the region and host some playoff games. The girls, not out of playoff hunt they very well could make a run. Again, losing to a Summerall is not a bad thing. And then Northeast looks like they're prime. Maybe they host a playoff game, being the number 2 seed. But yeah.
And just to make it clear for everybody, he's just alluding to for all 6 of these teams as to whether or not they're going to win the district. All 6 of these teams are going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And more than likely, all of them will be no worse than a 2 seed.
Right. Yeah. I don't see any of them dropping below a 2 seed.
So all of them, at least in the first round, will be hosting. So, you know, I guess it's a good odd 6 teams. I like it.
It's pretty cool to have, you know, that many teams from our region making the playoffs, potentially hosting playoff games, and in the case of West and South, potentially hosting every game through the playoffs. Correct. On boys' side. I hope that maybe Laurel can figure some things out on the side.
Well, and that's what I want to allude to with Laurel. I'm looking it up right now. Laurel boys, they're sitting at 2-5 in the district. They're 5th in the district. Unfortunately, they're going to need a lot to happen for them to even get in as a 4 seed. It looks like Laurel girls are currently sitting. They're currently sitting 0-6 in the district. They're 4-13 record. So, unfortunately for them, I think they're pretty well done. They have a game with Summerall left. They have a game with North Pike, and then they finish up with Wayne County. So.
They still got hoops.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And they were actually on the pitch last night. I didn't make it down the hill, but they were on the pitch last night. But yeah, for Laurel, I think they are. I think they're sold out with basketball right now. Yeah, just being honest.
Well, I mean, like I said, each year you get a different crop of players. It can change on a dime for any of these programs. Now, before we get to some of our other topics, let's get into recapping the games from the weekend. And I forgot to put them down, but we'll start recapping the college playoff semifinals.
I mean, there's only one worth recap, and the other one was just the ass kicking.
And we're going to start with that one first, just so we can get it over with. Indiana looked like gangbusters.
Indiana looked like one of the top 25 NFL teams.
Yeah. 56-22 was the final, and I dare say the game wasn't that close. I mean, and that's still a blowout. But
I mean, the 22, I mean, most of that came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, garbage time.
I'm going to tell you, Jack, for me personally, I mean, you know, you and I were out on the route. Well, actually, all 3 of us were out on the route. And I was trying to listen to it. And when it got to, what was it, 42-3 or 42-6?
42-7, I think it was. Oregon.
It was 6 because they missed they didn't go for 2, whatever. But it was 42-6, and I got a text from my brother, and he sent me a screen. He knew we were on the route, and he sent me a screenshot of the TV. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was listening to it on the radio, but I just turned that crap off because, I mean, at 42-6.
That's when I turned it off.
It was over. I mean, you know, and I'm just surprised that Oregon and Dan Lanning went out that way. I mean, you know, these two teams met back in October, even though it was in Eugene, Oregon at Autzen Stadium, home of the Ducks. It was a 10-point game. I mean, it was 23-20 midway through the fourth quarter before Mendoza for Indiana throws a touchdown pass to make the final 30-20. 30-20 is not bad. 56-22.
That's bad.
Me and you talked about it being a defensive game.
Yeah.
We were discussing the over-under.
Right.
Did either of y'all pick Oregon or not?
No, we were.
I couldn't remember
because they were my national. They were my national championship pick.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
I just couldn't remember who picked. I knew I picked Indiana because I had last week's sheet. I couldn't remember who I picked until I looked at last week's sheet. But I mean, yeah, it definitely eye-opening. It showed that the blowout of Alabama was no fluke.
Not at all.
No fluke. Now the other game, the Fiesta Bowl, was a much better matchup, much better game. The time of possession was dominated by Miami, but somehow Ole Miss kept that game close. They stayed in it till the end, and even on the final play had a shot to score and win this game. I mean, it was one of the best college football games we've seen this year. Probably definitely the best one we've seen in the playoffs since Ole Miss Georgia. So, I mean, maybe it's a little disappointing now that Ole Miss is not going to be in the national, because maybe that means we're going to get another bad game. I don't know. But again, it was a heck of an effort from Ole Miss. Hats off to Miami, for getting it done the way that they did. Their defense can get pressure, but obviously Ole Miss showed they can score on.
Right.
So again, this was really a heck of a game. I know Guru does not care for Ole Miss at all. But my Ole Miss friends, fans, y'all have nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, this was a heck of a run, and I really, really thought when they scored their last touchdown that they were going to step up and stop Miami. I really thought it would, but the defense just third and fourth down killed Ole Miss all night. They'd look good on first and second down. It'd be third and long, fourth and long. The Hurricanes just found a way to convert almost every time. Kevin, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on that great Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, it was really good. I caught the second half. We were coming back from Florence from Brandon, and it was a great game. Ole Miss fans, I know they're talked about penalties, and we've talked about it. The ending of that game, I feel like you probably could have called defensive pass interference. I told y'all, realistically, you're not going to call pass interference on the last play. We've talked about this. My only gripe is if you're calling the game, and it's all games, right? If you're calling the game tight, call it tight from start to finish. If you're calling it loose, call it loose from start to finish.
Consistency.
Yeah, if I was an Ole Miss fan, I would be mad. I'm not going to lie, I would be mad.
Yeah.
Your DB basically pushed the receiver down, like pushed him down. But either way, your defense, like you said, couldn't get off the field. You let Carson back, run off for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I told Callie there was, from your defensive tackle, if you go back and look at that play, there was no effort from the defensive tackle once he got put to the ground to get back up. Man, that was just an effort thing. But yeah, just a great game. Miami proving that they belong in the playoffs. I know there was the controversy with Notre Dame and Miami, but
the bigger controversy for me was Alabama.
Yeah, I was fixing to say,
I always thought Miami belonged.
Yeah,
just being honest.
I feel like that the biggest question I have now is why was Oklahoma or Alabama in the game, in the playoffs? But yeah, kudos to Miami, but they're fixing to run into a brick wall. I feel like
Don't tease your
not teasing. Anything happened, but man, Indiana, that's impressive.
Yeah, if Trinidad Chambliss wasn't able to get outside the pocket and make plays the way he did in that game, Ole Miss never would have had an opportunity there at the very end to have one heave to the end zone to score. I mean, with the limited amount of time that offense was on the field, I mean, it was
minuscule.
I mean, I hate to say this, and this has nothing to do with any feelings towards Ole Miss in any regards on a personal level or anything. But looking back now, especially, and I know we've had a little bit more film, if you will, to go off of with Trinidad, but I kind of feel like the Heisman Trophy missed out, because I really feel like at this point, I think he might be the best player in college football.
I think you're right.
Overall.
Yeah.
Because, and we've talked about this and we all agree on it on the same level. It doesn't matter what that win-loss record says next to any player's team that's up for the trophy. And I know he finished 8th in the voting, whatever. And I know he didn't start until, the third or fourth game of the season after Austin Simmons went down with an injury. But since the time he came on, I mean, the dude's been on fire. I mean, can you imagine if he started from day one?
Well, look, he was the reason they beat Georgia. You're talking about his being able to roll out. He's the reason that they were in the game against He's the reason they beat Georgia. I, for one, am hoping the kid wins. I don't know if it's on an appeal or if the lawsuit has been filed, but I'm hoping he gets
lost the
year.
appeal. They're
filing.
They're supposedly, allegedly filing a lawsuit. I think it would be great for the sport, great for the kid, one way or the other. I mean, I think he's going to transition well to the NFL. I just think with his moxie and just his overall play, his style of play, I mean, he's going to have to learn when to get down, when to get out of bounds, and I mean, he's done that fairly well throughout the year. I mean, I don't remember, him taking too many big hits, but, I think if you, and it's kind of hard to say because it almost makes me want them to wait until every single college football game has been played until you vote for the Heisman.
I think that's fair because, I mean, when they started voting on it then, the balls didn't carry as much significance in the early days of voting.
And then it was only one extra game per team. It wasn't like we get with Trinidad where he had 3 extra games. And not taking anything away from Mendoza. I mean, he threw 5 touchdowns in the game against Oregon. Too. And he is a great kid. He's got a great story with his mom and her battling MS and what that family does in supporting foundations to find a cure for that. And that's an awesome story. But not taking anything away from that, that does not translate to what happens on the field of play. And I think if you just put right now, I mean, if we were technologically savvy enough to pull them up side by side and show the stats for those two dudes, I think it paints a different picture, especially when you consider that Trinidad didn't start every game that Ole Miss played this year. I know I got off on a tangent, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there because, I really wanted him to get that extra year of eligibility and come to Baton Rouge.
We know you did.
I know that's not going to happen. I'm hoping he gets that extra year of eligibility just so we get to see him play for one more year on the collegiate level. But yeah, it is what it is. It was a hell of a game, and in the end, Miami found a way to get it done and sets us up for a very intriguing game on Monday night.
Kevin, before we move off of this, just because you weren't a part of the conversation on Trinidad's eligibility, are you also joining us hoping that he gets one more year just so we can enjoy that? Because, I mean, he was a joy to watch this year, regardless of how you feel about Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all of the stuff, and it's not just Trinidad.
No.
I don't know how I feel about the eligibility stuff.
Well, the thing is, and I hate to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
But I know you don't know the whole story. There was an injury issue with him at Fair State.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to some bull crap about documentation and all this crap. Yeah. If the dude was injured and couldn't play,
he has a medical record.
I mean,
look, if Carson Beck can get 6 years and leave where he was and go to Miami, give Trinidad an extra year because he's staying where he is, and I think we want to see that story continue to play out.
And if he gets denied just because of some paperwork that was either misfiled or not filed, I mean, that's not his fault. No, and it happened at a different school, not at his current one.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that he's just not declaring for the draft. I'm super surprised by that he just didn't outright declare for the draft.
Well, the only reason I think, and this goes back to, I think, what you were about to get into with pay for play, basically, and NIL and junk like that. And I would think that it depends on where he was projected. Yeah. Because we've talked about that off the air with some of these kids. If they're not projected day one and they're going second round,
it's a pay cut.
It is a pay cut, even if it's just for 1 year.
Yeah.
And when you can go to college for that one more year and make what, $3, $4, $5 million instead of the leagues.
He's probably making
$2 to $3.
Purdy was making whenever he joined the league.
Yeah. Right.
Brock Purdy. He's probably making more now than what.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, he's probably barely making over $1 million a year.
No, he wasn't even making $1 million. I don't think.
That's crazy. But we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll come back, and we've got a discussion about eligibility coming up after we finish these recaps too. That will be very interesting. Let's get into the NFL recaps. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on these, except for one particular game that really made both myself and Kevin angry. But we'll start off. Rams beat the Panthers 34-31. I'm pretty sure we all picked the Rams last week because the Panthers shouldn't have been hosting that playoff game. I only think it was a close game because they got to host, but they had a losing record going into the playoffs. They got the double reward of winning their division and getting the host, which is ridiculous. We talked about that last week. The Rams, of course, are a veteran team. They were able to take care of business. Of course, the next game that I have down, I don't think it's the order they were played per se, but the 49ers went into Philadelphia and beat the defending Super Bowl champions. Very, very hard-fought game, and it's pretty impressive, guys, because if you followed the 49ers this year, ton of injuries.
And got another one.
Yeah, and got a big one with George Kittle going down, Achilles injury. They went into Philadelphia, though, and just outplayed the defending Super Bowl champs. Jalen Hurts looked lost throughout that game. They were in it because of their ground game, not because of Hurts per se. Brock Purdy has proven himself to be an excellent game manager, just a smart quarterback. This 49ers team may go further. We'll get to that when we get to picks, but like I said, that Philadelphia is not an easy place to go into and win, as you guys know pretty well. So it is an impressive win on top of all those injuries. Then we've got the Bills 27, Jaguars 24. Josh Allen goes in there and gets a win, hard-fought game. I know sentimentally, I think all of us are rooting for the Bills because I think we all like Josh Allen, and we all have seen the four falls of Buffalo, so we understand. We'd love to see them be the team, even though the path is a little bit easier because, as Kevin pointed out last week, there's no Patrick Mahomes in his way. There's no Lamar Jackson in his way. They still are going to have to do it on the road, and that's never easy. So, again, they did take care of business, knocked the Jaguars out. Then the next game, and this one I'm sure you guys will want to comment on, the Patriots beat the Chargers 16-3. Guru, this is one you and I talked about, how it was probably the most boring football game we've seen in a long time.
It was atrocious.
It was bad.
It was, I don't even, boring is the correct adjective to use there. I don't give two craps about it. I'm going to wait for you to do the next one, and I want to say one thing about that first game before y'all go on your rants.
Go ahead and say what you want on the first game, the Rams and Panthers.
Oh, yeah, that was a hell of a game, man. That was the best game of all 6 games that were played. I watched bits and pieces of every one of these games. I watched almost the entire Rams-Panthers game for no other reason than that's the football that was on at that time, and I enjoyed watching that game. And, wow, Stafford and company, I mean, the touchdown late that he threw into the right corner of the end zone to his tight end, dude went up and made a heck of a catch, and it was just a fun game to watch, and it was kind of heartwarming to watch the Panthers get knocked out because of what we said, that they really didn't belong. I mean, they hung around. Bryce Young, he had a heck of a game, especially in the second half, but, you know, that's a team to watch right there, the Rams. Kind of a West Coast feel. You saying that about the 49ers. I'm going to go with that in the case of the Rams, and I'm going to tell you what, though, that next one you're about to talk about, you got to watch out for that big D right there from Houston.
Man, I didn't know I didn't know their defense was like that. I have not watched that many, and I've watched a lot of NFL games. I just hadn't watched a lot of Houston Texans games because Houston's always been that team that, you know, they do good in the regular season, then get in the playoffs, first round, exit. Matter of fact, this is the first time they've ever won a road playoff game. So hats off to them. Houston 30, Pittsburgh 6. Sadly, I know Kevin was a fan of Aaron Rodgers too, since he was a longtime quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. It's sad that this is probably how his career ends, and it's going to end on a pick 6.
That kind of sucked because that's something we all agreed on last week. You know, we'd like to see him make at least a small run one more time, maybe even get back to the big game. But yeah, Man, that Houston defense is so freaking nasty. And, you know, in all of sports, but especially in football, they always say defense wins championships. If you want to put a little side bet on somebody, I'd go down to Bachhomer right now and throw a couple of shellbacks on Houston to win it all, because if their defense keeps playing like that, nobody's going to beat them.
Yeah. Kevin, anything you want to add on that game or any of the others we've talked about?
Yeah, the Texans Steelers, man. I watched Houston earlier this year when they played the Bills. They gave Josh Allen fits. I mean, they absolutely gave Josh Allen fits. And I knew that was coming. I wanted Aaron to win and to go on, but it's kind of ironic that one of the most accurate and one of the most least interception prone quarterbacks, his last pass is probably a pick six.
He went the longest of any quarterback in a career before he ever even threw a pick. It was only, 4 or 5 years ago that he threw his first pick six of his career. Crazy that's how his career is.
What's kind of funny is there was at one point in time where he was looking to end his career potentially with less than 100 interceptions. I mean, that's just unthinkable.
He got to 400 touchdown passes before he hit 100 interceptions.
Oh, yeah, well before. Yeah, well before.
Almost I don't think he got to 500, but he got close to 500.
He was getting close to 500. Chargers, Patriots, I mean, like y'all said, it was a boring game. Feel bad for Justin Herbert. He didn't play well, but, man, his offensive line, that's absolutely garbage, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give up 6 sacks, I think. In that game?
Crazy.
It's a wonder he doesn't have a sternum broken. Bills, Jaguars. Bills escaped the Jags. Man, Jags are underrated. People like to rag on Trevor Lawrence, but he put them in this one against who I think should represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. 49ers, Eagles. Hate that Kittle went down. That sucks. Love Kittle as a player, and that honestly could be a career ender. I hate to say it. I mean,
second time this year.
Yeah. We forget that Kittle he's getting up there. He's been around for a while, so he may not want to go out like that on an Achilles injury, but he won't be the same player coming back. And then the Rams, Panthers. Bryce Young played well, but the Rams, they're pretty much my Super Bowl pick at this point, I think. I want to see Stafford go out with the MVP and a Super Bowl win.
And just to clarify, Aaron Rodgers finished with 527 career touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Now, this next game, two of us are fans of one of the two teams in this, and
I had no dog in this fight, so
we'll let you go over the score. And
so in Chicago, we had one of the strangest games in NFL playoff history. The second highest fourth quarter comeback that has ever happened in pro football. The Bears knock off the Packers 31-27 after trailing by 25 points in the fourth quarter. I am not a fan of Caleb Williams. I just do not like him. His little girly earrings, his little fingernail polish on his fingers. I don't care what kind of crappy endorsement he gets for that crap. Dude, be a football player. If you want to go be whatever else, they, them or something, I don't know. But, I mean, the dude is from USC, so who knows there. But I've never, outside of the 86 Bears, I've never really cared one way or the other about Chicago. Packers, on the other hand, unlike my two partners in crime who are diehard Green Bay cheeseheads, which I have no problem with. I enjoyed watching Brett Favre when he was there, and I've never had anything against the Packers. I was pulling for the Packers in the game. Just watching them just implode sucked because I felt bad for these two guys. So with that being said, you guys tear it apart, especially Matt LaFleur.
You're up 21-3 at the half. 21-3. 21-6 going into the fourth quarter. And you lose that game. And look, there were drop passes. Jordan Love played out of his mind. I mean, that's some of the best I've seen out of Jordan Love. So loss is 100% not on Love. But what happened in that second half, and this is, Kevin, you'll back me up on this. This is something that we Green Bay fans have suffered with before Matt LaFleur got there. Mike McCarthy was notorious for getting a couple of score lead and just trying to go ultra conservative. And that's what he did. Tried to run the ball, wasn't there. Tried screen passes. They weren't there, with the exception of the one that really wasn't there, but Matthew Golden made a heck of a play on for the touchdown. But that was the offense until they had to switch it around. And you saw then that Love was able to move the team down the field. When you're up like that, you have to go for the jugular, especially against a team that hates you, and it will make their, because again, when the Bears hired Ben Johnson, he wasn't talking about winning Super Bowls. He was talking about beating the Green Bay Packers. That is their Super Bowl. And the fact that you had them beat, and because Matt LaFleur's poor play calling, that's why they lost. Kevin, I know you're going to say the same thing. I really and truly do not want to see an extension for Matt LaFleur. I want to see Matt LaFleur get the door.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm used to it at this point. When McManus missed the field goal going into halftime, I told Callie, I said, "Here we go." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "It's all downhill from here," because I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. I knew
Hyper-conservative.
I knew the conservative play calling was going to start. McManus misses another field goal. He misses the extra point. He takes a touchdown off the board.
Yep.
He literally takes a touchdown off the board. I am on the, I don't know. I wanted LaFleur gone, but then it's like, who are you going to get? Unless it's Harbaugh, I just don't know who I would want. Mike McDaniel, I don't think is the answer.
No, I don't either.
But
He would look funny in those jogging pants in Green Bay.
I would rather keep LaFleur than go Mike McDaniel. I just, I'm not convinced I think he's a great coordinator. Maybe bring him in to run the offense, and maybe you'll get away from LaFleur's conservatism. Maybe that's the answer. Take some of the play calling away from LaFleur.
I think the only way Mike McDaniel makes sense is because I think that he was handcuffed in Miami with sticking with Tua.
It's fair.
Because we know that the Dolphins fired Flores because he did not want Tua. And then they hired Mike McDaniel. And I don't think McDaniel near the end wanted Tua. Especially after all of the medical issues with Tua. I think that he wanted to go a different direction. And I feel like maybe if he comes in and just hypothetically, right, we do let LaFleur go, you've got Jordan Love, who, I mean, you can go on X, you can look up Kurt Benkert, who was a former quarterback.
I saw the video you're talking about.
And he's showing the plays when Love is not handcuffed. Maybe a Mike McDaniel comes in and takes the handcuffs off of Love and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. If you keep your defensive coordinator, you keep Hatley, who I think if Parsons doesn't go down and we aren't a walking ambulance by the time you get to the playoffs, maybe that works. And, Josh Jacobs is still Josh Jacobs. I mean, I go back. I don't put the loss. People are kind of criticize Jacobs, but I don't put the loss on him because you weren't using any play action to give him any room.
It was play calling. That was the problem.
I think at the end of the day, that's why I'm kind of like Mike McDaniel, man. I kind of do. Because you see with Harbaugh, I can turn it around and say, have a 2-time MVP with Lamar Jackson. He can't get it done with Lamar and Derrick Henry. And, I don't know.
I think Lamar, and this I don't want to get long into it, but Lamar, to me, has never had the right mindset for the playoffs. I mean, he just, when it's gotten in the playoff time, when it's gotten to be extra pressure, I think he's an exceptional athlete. He plays the position well, but there's something where he just struggles
I
when
could
the
argue
pressure's
that with
on.
Josh Allen.
You can.
I could argue that with
And I don't disagree with it
Yeah,
on Josh Allen either, because they both have done the same thing.
I told y'all both. I think I did that the quarterbacks that because I love the NFL. I know it's blasphemy in the South, but I love the NFL more than I do college football. and I think
He didn't say anything about Taylor Swift. He's good.
I think the quarterbacks that were under the most pressure in this playoff was Josh Allen was number one, and number two was Sam Darnold. And I stick with that. Somebody told me that should we trade Jordan Love and go after Mendoza? And if you get rid of LaFleur, do you go after Signetti and bring in Mendoza? And I'm like, brother, no.
I don't think Signetti's ready to leave Indiana yet. Maybe he is.
He just signed an extension.
Mendoza, I hope that he is a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced he will be yet.
Yeah. I'm not ready to take that chance.
No.
I think Jordan is on the edge of becoming the MVP.
I do too.
And
that's part of the frustration, Kevin. We watched Aaron Rodgers' prime years get wasted by Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
And I fear we might be on the verge of watching Jordan Love's prime years get wasted by Matt LaFleur. And I just, it's frustrating. I know we need to move on, but it's very frustrating to sit back and watch. I mean, they had that game. Had it.
In the stage of the grief, I'm at the acceptance point. It's less than a month away from NASCAR season started. I've turned my attention there. Don't look at me. Don't do that.
It's not on the sheet. We're not going to cover it. Don't worry. You
not
don't
even
have
a
to.
I will have a
You don't
look
have
at
to
that.
talk about left hand turns. You're
It's
good.
not even a sport.
Oh my God.
All right, we're not getting into the debate. We will soon because we got two other topics that we want to get to before we get to the picks. First, Kevin, we were talking about Jacksonville a second ago, and Jacksonville reporter Lynn Jones has caught criticism this week because during the press conference following the loss, she asked a question that showered praise on Jacksonville and their head coach. Kevin, tell us a little bit more about, because you're the one who brought it to our attention. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's the thing. I don't know why. It's been a thorn in my side all week, and I think it's my soapbox rant. Okay. Lynn Jones for the Jacksonville Free Press after the postseason game, the pressure, the rodeo pit, whatever you want to call it, right? The presser is what I always call it. She goes in for 27, 30 seconds, whatever, I think it's 27 seconds. She goes and she gives admiration to the head coach. I don't know why I didn't put the head coach's name here. I forgot. But
Nick Cohen?
Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, she gives him a lot of praise. And he says, thank you, ma'am, throughout it. And she just goes on and she does that. And there's no question asked or anything like that. And, of course, ESPN and CBS and other ones, they share it. And, it's positive. And look, I get it. It's cool. It's really, really cool moment. But then you have a bunch of sports writers say that she shouldn't have been credentialed and she shouldn't work for the company and she shouldn't do this and all of these things. And I know we probably all three have different opinions on this. I'm not going to sit here, and I know Pat McAfee actually talked about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like the sports writers that are like, oh my God, she shouldn't be credentialed. Oh my, how did she get in the place? I'm not going to be like that.
Pretty sure it probably wasn't her first Jacksonville game to cover.
Right,
Sure.
right. I'm not going to be like that. I refuse to be like this. This lady looks like she's 60-something years old and sounds like my grandma that just, and I refuse to criticize a woman saying that, what she did. But I will say this. I have another friend of mine who was like, I remember when we didn't let fans report the news. And I agree to an extent to what he says. We all three and people around this area, and I'll break the fourth wall. My daughter goes to Northeast Jones. Okay. Your stepson goes to South Jones. You had a godson essentially that played baseball at South Jones, and another one coming up is fixing to play. We've had kids at West Jones that we
I had two of mine went to West Jones.
right,
And you went.
And I went to Laurel.
right,
You just
and
need a kid at Northeast so you can complete the site set.
yeah,
That could
I
create a
grew
lot
up
of
in
problems for
Wayne
me,
County.
Jack.
I grew up in Wayne County. And I look, and I'll use myself in this situation. Whenever I was full time in Jasper County, there were those girls that played on the stringer softball and volleyball teams that I've watched from middle school come all the way up, and then win a volleyball championship and a state championship in softball. And you root for those teams, and you root for those players, and those things, and the coaching staff. I photographed Mason Strickland in high school. You did too. We all cheer on our teams and our players, but I think in that setting, you probably need to ask a question. Those college settings and professional settings are different. It is harder sometimes to get a credential in those.
Definitely for the NFL.
Yeah, those are valuable. And I think there's also a time and a place for that. I never, when we're in a scrum football championships, for instance, I never use my time or that coach's time or any of my fellow reporters' time to talk and do that, whether it be win or loss. I'll go in the locker room after. I'll text the coach, give him a call, and that's whenever I go to that. Or I'll center that of a successful season around a question. So I think there is some criticism there, right? But these people that are talking about that she shouldn't be credentialed and all this stuff, get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Other people are like, and there's fans that they're like, that's just stupid. She has the right to ask whatever she wants. Well,
But she didn't ask anything.
Exactly. And then they're like, sports journalists and journalists make their job way more heroic than what it's ever needed to be. Well, guess what? Here's the thing. There are people who view their jobs way more important than what they are. I get that. I'm 100% understanding that. But then the same people will gripe because certain news wasn't reported.
Or a reporter went too harsh.
Yeah, or a reporter went too harsh.
Ho.
Yeah.
He is a hoe.
I
He's
don't
a
like that
housewife.
side. I don't like the overly critical part on that side.
Yeah.
From fans, I think that's ridiculous. So I don't know. She shouldn't be not credentialed or anything like that. But I do understand to a point where journalists are, hey, probably shouldn't do that.
I agree 100% with you on the fact that if you want to heap that kind of praise, fine, but have a question at the end of it. So I agree with that statement there, and I also agree that she should not lose her credentials over that. I mean, it's absurd. When I see people like Jamil Hill, who is one of the voices criticizing her. Jamil Hill's one of the dumbest people in sports. I mean, I'm just going to say it out loud. She's a race-baiting moron who really and truly, if there's somebody that I want to see deplatformed from sports journalists, it's somebody more like her.
She has no problem bringing politics or anything
Yeah.
or any other crazy question out of the blue.
But she's
And I feel
mad
the
about
same.
this.
I feel this. I told y'all this. I felt the same way with reporters. Why would you ask Tim Tebow, was he still a virgin?
Yeah.
Why would you ask someone's opinion on the Minneapolis incidents that have gone on? Why would you criticize somebody y'all remember this, I'm sure, during the COVID stuff and Black Lives Matter movement and all this? Why would you go into question about somebody standing up and putting their hand over the heart for the national anthem? It's just stupid.
It's absurd. So if you want to criticize somebody for being overly positive, then guess what? You're going to get criticized for being overly negative. Also, I think that look, you guys know, I'm very plugged in politically. I host a political talk show, but I also don't bring it onto this show. Because this show's not about politics. This show's about sports. Sure, maybe one of our topics may have a lean if we're talking about some, but at the heart and center of this particular show, we're just talking sports and we're having fun. To me, that's all this lady did. I agree with Kevin that she should have worked a question in. To me, that's her only fault. She did not have a question at the end, and I agree that if all she wanted to do was heap praise on Cohen, she should have waited till after the presser. But if she wants to heap that praise, but also work a question in, I'm okay with the praise. Guru, what's your takeaway?
Well, I mean, it can go one or two ways. Credential-wise, absolutely not. Come on, that's stupid. I mean, saying take that away, I mean, I don't know. She may have been covering Jacksonville Jaguars. If she's as old as Kevin says, she may have been there since their first football game and been on their beat. Who knows? I don't know what her relationship is with Coach Cohen, how much access she has to an NFL head coach. That may have been her only opportunity face to face to be able to tell him that. I personally don't care if she asked a question or not. I mean, I don't take it away as bad journalism or anything like that. Now, I will disagree with the sentiment of the fans. Fans can say whatever the hell they want to. They're fans. They don't get paid to do what we do and what other mainstream, so-called mainstream sports media personnel do. Those ones that are bitching about this, now those are the ones that should just shut up about it because you're the a-holes in the whole situation. I mean, I don't care who has said something negative towards her. You're an a-hole. You just absolutely are. Now, going back to her not asking a question, I mean, it is what it is. She felt, in my opinion, that was her opportunity to tell Coach what she thought, what she felt. Thank you. We appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. Could she tacked on a question? Yeah, but I don't think even if she would have tacked on a question, I mean, because really your only follow-up question, in my opinion, would be after she sings his praises is just to ask him, what are your thoughts on how the whole season went as a whole? And that, I mean, that's basically it. But she's still going to get criticized for her first 27 seconds of comments, regardless if she asked the question or not. So, I mean, and the fact, I mean, we all know because, I mean, like y'all submitted credentials to go cover the Mississippi State Southern Miss football game to kick off the year in Hattiesburg. You know the process. We know that there's a certain high school age person who's not allowed to get credentials to certain schools, universities in our state because of, you know, just being young and dumb. And I mean, that's how it is. And to think that on that smaller of a level, because even if you combine our three state universities, I mean, the amount of money they bring in is nothing compared to what the Jacksonville Jaguars bring in. And you know, just based on our dealings with getting credentials for collegiate sports in our state, the vetting process to get credentials to go cover an NFL playoff game, that's not easy. No. And if she got the credentials to be there and she either spoke up first or was called on, whatever she said at that point, she, in my opinion, had every right to say it. And those in this business that criticize her for doing such, you know, point that one finger and there's always three pointing back at you.
Amen.
I guess my only concern would be, because we don't know. I think the last time, I think she's actually from Detroit, Michigan originally. But I think my only concern, and it's something that I've seen, I think I've mentioned to you guys before, is we do have a problem, and I see it a lot in high school, is we have fans that are trying to come in and be sports media.
Yeah.
And it's kind of to the point where it's kind of concerning because, like, I can use this for instance. A couple of years ago, there was a young man, not in high school or anything, he's a grown adult, and he comes in wanting to video stuff. He was nearly on the field, and he nearly got the team cost 15 yards because he's on the field. He's not knowing what he's doing. And then they ask him, "Hey, are you credentialed? Do you have any credentials?" He's like, "Well, no. Well, this photographer's on the field, and this one, and and there's this whole thing of like, yeah, they're credentialed photographer. Fortunately, they knew who I was, and then you got just a fan who's like, well, I can do this too, and I can bring a Canon Rebel out here, and there's no etiquette. I think that's where I'm at. Is there?
And I agree
Is
with
there
you.
a certain etiquette that you need to have?
I agree with you on the field. There needs to be a little bit. In a press conference, 27 seconds doesn't necessarily offend me, but your point as far as some of these folks that are getting on the field, especially in these, because we all ran into several of them this season alone. I think that's a different problem in and of itself, and I agree with you 100% on that that's something that needs to be addressed. It's not happening on the NFL level, because you're not getting on there
You're vetted,
without being credentialed.
I'm not getting credentials.
So I mean, it's a different scenario, and I think it's a topic we'll come back to in a future show for sure, because I think it's a good one to deep dive in. How can that be regulated on a high school level? But I know we've got at least one more rant before we get to our picks.
This is the guru rant.
And you went right where I was going. That this is one that, same as Kevin brought Lynn Jones to our attention, Guru brought this one to our attention, so Guru gets to lead the rant this time and will respond.
So it came down yesterday. The FBS coaches voted to allow a freshman player to play in up to 9 games starting with the 2026 season and still maintain a red shirt. Previously, up until 7-8 years ago, if a freshman played any, he automatically burned his red shirt.
Yep.
It didn't matter. You could go in for one snap on the final play of the final game. You no longer get a red shirt. Well, I think smartly they changed that, and it was 4 times. You could play in 4 games. It doesn't mean you just play 4 plays. You could play 4 complete football games. And as long as you did not appear in a 5th, you still maintained your eligibility as a red shirt. And I was totally fine with that. I never, ever saw this coming until I read it yesterday afternoon and was blindsided, because all you're doing is creating automatic 5 years for a player if they want to be at LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Indiana from day one.
5 years, it could be way more than 5 years.
Well, we won't go down that road. We'll just stick with that one particular, just typical situation. I come in my first year, so or just take whoever the number 1 quarterback prospect coming in the class of 26 is, whoever it is and wherever he's going. Joe Smo at Oregon. And now he doesn't play in the non-Big Ten games. He sits out those 3 games. But yet now he's the starter for all 9 of the Big Ten conference games. Or maybe just 6 of them. The 6 important ones that Dan Lanning thinks are the important ones. Okay? So then that way he's played in 6 games. He leads us to those 6 wins. We went 5-1 in the other ones. Now we got the Big Ten championship. If it's in our favor to make the playoff, whether we win it or not, maybe he starts, maybe he doesn't. But now we still got a game or 2 or 3 games we can use him for in the playoff. And all it does is give a 5th year of eligibility. And part of the story that came out on ESPN, it said that the coaches wanted to do this in a way to help try to eliminate some of these kids that don't get much playing time in year 1, who think they deserve more playing time, to automatically hit the portal. That's complete BS.
Yeah.
All they're doing is trying to get another year of eligibility for every single player that steps on campus. Because I mean, honestly, think about it, guys. With your whole incoming class for this 26 season that are high school seniors, you can play them in 9 games and give every one of them a red shirt. You can pick and choose that this running back plays in these 6 games here, and we'll save him for later in the year. And this quarterback here, we can run some, special packages for him in this big game here, and then this big game over here, and save him for the playoffs. And same thing down the line on defense, special teams, everything. And all those players in that class, whether it be a 18-man signing class, a 25-man signing class, now all of them still have 4 more full years of eligibility to play. We're not creating a system where these kids, because the kids that are, your top 100, top 300 recruits in the country, all of them think when they get to campus, they should be starting from day one. It doesn't matter if they play defensive line. It doesn't matter if they're a safety, a quarterback, an offensive tackle. All of them think they should be starting because that's what everybody has been telling them their whole lives. And when they get there and they don't get that, even if they do get to play in 9 games, that's not going to stop them from transferring and hitting the portal. If somebody that was playing at Oregon gets a call from Lane Kiffin at LSU, and now he's going to offer them $250,000 more and guarantees them that they will start from day one, it's still going to happen.
And that other school gets the extra year eligibility. I mean, college football is broken right now, people. I think that's something we can all agree on. The transfer portal is an abomination. It should not be unlimited times to transfer. It should not be, I've been the starter. I set the passing record at this school. Guess what? I'm going to transfer. Enough of that crap. They need to take, instead of making rules like this, they need to come up with some restrictions to the transfer portal as a whole, because it is absurd. It's obscene how it's being used. You talked about, the 5th year eligibility. We've got kids going on for their 7th, 8th, and 9th year eligibility these days. A lot of this stuff needs to go away. I mean, this is not, if it doesn't, they're going to wake up one day. People aren't going to be paying attention to college football anymore. Because why go to college? Kevin's already more of an NFL fan, he said. There are going to be others that follow, because at least the NFL admits it's a pro team. And at least when they sign players, they're locked in for a few years.
They have regulations.
Yeah.
Here's what it is for me, and this is why I'm kind of like, and I've been this way for a few years, but this is where I didn't keep nearly as much attention, even with Auburn, and where I've become more of watching our high school players move on to college and kind of keep up with what they're doing. It's because, like, as an Auburn fan, I can't keep up with a player who's been there for 3 or 4 years now. I can't. I mean, you had Jackson Arnold come in and he's gone.
Deuce Knight.
Yeah, Deuce Knight. Yeah, I wanted to root for him. He's gone. He's at Ole Miss. And then, at least I know the NFL has a salary cap.
Yeah.
And a contract.
Yeah, they have a salary cap and contract. I applaud Washington for telling their quarterback, no, you're not leaving. We're not granting you access to leave. I applaud that. I mean, if I am a booster, if I was lucky enough to have the money to be able to drop a cool $500,000 at Auburn, and then a Deuce Knight, I'm not saying this is what he did, but I'm using him as an example. If I say, hey, Deuce, you come here, $500,000 is for you. And then he says, see you, headed to Oxford after a year.
And that, why you don't know if that was the offer. It's legal now with the NIL. So Kevin's not accusing Ole Miss of doing anything wrong.
No.
That is legal under this, and that's part of the problem.
It's the same way. If anybody coming to Auburn, it's the same way.
Well, how is a coach supposed to recruit year after year when the kids that he recruited the previous year, he's going to have to try to recruit them again too on top of the newcomers? It's an unsustainable setup right now in college athletics.
There were 2 pictures, and I know y'all probably seen it. When Jeff Lebby was hired at Mississippi State, there was Stonka Burnside and a couple more receivers that they took a picture with, and in front of with the stadium in the background. None of those players are there anymore, and that's just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the Freeze 4, none of those receivers are there.
And you talk about, following our local kids for, it's usually about 3. Most, it even here in Jones County, it's still fairly rare for freshmen to start.
Yeah.
Or excel.
Yeah.
So we know typically we're going to get a solid 3 years. When we're lucky and we get a Marlon Lindsey, a Tootie Lindsey at West Jones, you get the Jackson brothers at South Jones, kids like that. But, you know, on a local level, you talk about somebody and Tyler Miller was at LSU for 1 year. Where is he at today?
Ole Miss.
No, the other one.
Mississippi State. That's
Went
right.
to Mississippi
I'm sorry.
State.
Mississippi State, yeah.
And why? I can tell you why. Number one, coaching change. But number two, he didn't get playing time. I tracked him the whole year because we had in our paper every Wednesday edition the four guys that are from our area that play in the NFL, and then I think it was 9 or 10 across the country from the local area that played Division I football. And every week go on there, track, look at player participation for the LSU game. No Tyler Miller. No Tyler Miller. 13 times.
A coaching change I can understand.
I'm more okay with the transfer portal being used during the coaching change. I agree with that. But we're not seeing it that
Right.
way.
It's not because of coaching changes.
I mean, Carson Beck didn't go to Miami because of coaching change.
Right.
You know, and that was a problem. You know, and I wrote a column last year saying that Carson Beck is the poster child for everything that's wrong with college football. And I still believe that. Despite his success in getting to the national championship game, I still believe that move is the poster child for everything because he was a successful quarterback at a winning school. And he's just able to leave without any punishment. I have a problem with that.
Well, I mean, I would have to say he just followed in the footsteps of Cam Ward, who did it before him.
Yeah. You know, Cam Ward did do it before him, but he wasn't as well known at the time as Carson Beck was.
Yeah.
Cam Ward became more known because he was at Miami. But you're right. It's equally bad. Just because I didn't know as much about Cam Ward doesn't make it less bad. And Cam Ward's the same guy that quit after 1 half on his team last year in the bowl game. So again, I'm never
Still got to be the number one pick.
Yeah, a quitter. So there's so many different tangents we could go off on every week, but unfortunately,
Well, I think you just go back and, you know, we started with the topic of getting 9 years and 9 games to play and still retaining your red shirt. It all goes back to what you said. College football at the Division I FBS level is broken. Broken because of now this new red shirt rule, because of the transfer portal. There's no regulations, and because it's not. We always refer to it as NIL, but NIL doesn't pertain as much to what I just like to refer to as pay for play.
Yeah.
Because, like he was saying, he's a donor. He could give any kid at Auburn his $500,000 to come there and play.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have to go through NIL. It just there is a certain vetting process, and it has to go through a clearinghouse. And I mean, we all know that it. I mean, it's probably never denied.
Yeah, it's always been
I wasn't even going to go down that road. But because of the fact that, you know, these schools have millions upon millions of dollars that they can spend. And then when you get a booster like Kevin at Auburn, me at LSU, if we had that type of money that we could just throw at any kid that we wanted to see come to the school, and that's what happens. I know Kevin's going to get into it when we start talking about Monday night's championship game. That's why one of the teams that's participating in it is in the damn game to begin with.
Probably
because
both.
There's no regulation over that. Mm-hmm. And until all that happens, it's going to get worse. And I've told y'all before, I might start looking for an FCS school to start following. I mean, I'm always going to love the Tigers, but I mean, when I had, you know, guys like Jacob Hester, guys like Matt Flynn, guys that are in the league now that played at LSU Leonard Fournette. I mean, he didn't play a senior year. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. I mean, yeah, Burrow came in as a transfer, but he played his 2 years that he had left.
Yeah.
And you knew those guys were there. From the time Chase and Jefferson signed in the same signing class, you knew they were there for 3 years, and they were there all 3 years.
Yep.
But in this day and age, that 2019 LSU team probably never happens.
Don't buy a player's jersey.
Do y'all remember how voodoo it was 15, now 16 years ago when Cam Newton left left Florida, went to a JUCO, and then the decision was Auburn or Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And how voodoo it was that he was just going to play one season for Auburn.
Yeah.
That wasn't very, very long ago.
No.
And then it was voodoo that Christian McCaffrey sat out of the bowl game. And they were questioning Christian McCaffrey's integrity.
Yeah.
For sitting out of a bowl game.
A meaningless one.
But meanwhile, Cam Ward gets drafted first overall for sitting out the second half of a ball game.
Now Cam Coleman, who played wide receiver for Auburn, signs a deal with Texas.
Look, we got to move on to the picks, but Guru, this being your topic, you want one final word, or have you said all you got to say?
I'd just be beating a dead horse at this point.
Well, let's get into it. We'll start with the NFL playoffs. Our game of the week obviously is going to be the national championship game. So we'll start with Saturday's games. 13-5 Buffalo traveling to the number 1 seed, 14-3 Denver. This Denver team, we had a chance to see them, Kevin, a couple of weeks ago when they played Green Bay. This is a complete team. I mean, Bo Nix, I didn't think Bo Nix would be this type of quarterback on the NFL level, but he looks legit. It's at Denver, but, Buffalo, they're used to cold. The altitude might be a problem for them, but they're used to the cold. Is this the year that Josh Allen gets over that hump? Denver's a tough place to play. I don't know that I truly believe in this pick, but I picked Buffalo to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to, like Kevin did last time, I'm going to ride with them. I'm going to go ahead and pick Buffalo, even though I'm not sure they're actually going to get it done against Denver.
Yeah, I'm the same thing. My brain says Denver. My heart says Buffalo. Like I said, I'm not going to keep going in on it, but Josh Allen, he's got to win it this year, at least get to the Super Bowl. I'm picking Buffalo.
Yeah, we're going to all agree. We're picking hearts instead of brains on this one. Although, and I didn't look this up, but I just feel that either Denver or Seattle, the 2 number 1 seeds, one of those two are going to lose. Mm-hmm. And it can go either way. We're going to get to Seattle next. But I agree. Allen's time is running thin. And Bo Nix, number 1, I agree with you, Jack. I never thought he would be what he's done, and especially this quickly. I won't be surprised either way. The biggest thing that I'm concerned with is who in the world is Josh Allen going to throw the ball to?
It's been that way all year.
Well, no, he's down. They had another player blow out a knee in practice, and he's down to 3 wide receivers. Now, he's got like 48 tight ends that he can throw the ball to.
Kincaid's a grown man, too.
Kincaid, Knox, and the other, I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but he's got 3 studs. I don't know. Should be a good game. I'm gonna root for Buffalo, and we'll probably come back next week and talk about how Denver won.
Yeah. Next game. This is a rematch from just a couple of weeks ago in which Seattle won and secured the top seed as San Francisco 13-5 travels to 14-3 Seattle. Didn't they split, Kevin, in the regular season?
Yeah, I believe they did.
This is the rubber match, and San Francisco is a walking mash unit at the moment, but they just keep finding a way. But I don't know. Seattle's such a tough place to play. It's so loud. I don't care for the Seahawks, but I think Cinderella comes to an end for San Francisco. I think that this is the matchup that the injuries catch up to them on. I want San Francisco to win because I love Christian McCaffrey, but I think Seattle's going to get past them.
You're the same way with McCaffrey that I am with Kittle. Love Kittle, and I hate that he went down. We talked about it earlier. I think that Seattle does get by in this one just because I think home field means that much. And look, man, Seattle's only lost 3 games. They're a great football team, so I think that they get by on this one.
Yeah, I got to ride with Seattle's defense for quite a spell during the fantasy football portion of the season, and they rarely let me down. A couple of times they helped me win a few games. Yes, I've been to that stadium for a Monday night football game between the Seahawks and Raiders, and it is a very loud place. And, I think with losing a weapon like Kittle, that's something that's going to be tough for San Francisco to overcome. Seattle's been a very solid team all year. They have split the two regular season meetings, but I agree. I think the home field advantage for the Hawks is going to be enough to take them on to the conference championship game.
Next, we've got Houston 13-5 at New England 15-3. Again, New England got a new coach, got a new lease on life. This New England team looks like it could be special. The offense is good enough. This Houston team showed us on Monday night that they are legitimate. That defense is solid. I'll say this though: if Stroud turns the ball over as much as he did against the Steelers, they will not win this game. This is a tough one to pick because both of them have hard-knocking defenses. I'm going to ride with the home team in this one, but it won't shock me to see Houston and that defense just get them another win. I think we already know where Kevin's going in this one.
No, I'm picking New England in this one. Vrabel at home. It's the second coming of Tom Brady with Drake May. Patrick Mahomes sacrificed his ACL so that the Patriots started their dynasty. You all hated it in the 2000s, but New England's coming again for a dynasty, I'm telling y'all.
That big D, I like it.
We know you do.
I like that big D. The way Houston looked against the Steelers on the road, back on the road, up in Foxborough. C.J. Stroud's the only quarterback to win a playoff game in his first 3 seasons in the league. But I agree with Jack. If he turns the ball over, there's as many times as he did against the Steelers, there's no way Houston will win this game. But I think he protects the ball a little bit better, and Houston wins by a field goal in a game that probably doesn't even get 30 total points in it.
That's fair. Now we've got the next.
I know who y'all are picking.
You might not. L.A. 13-5 at Chicago 12-6. Chicago's lucky to be here. They're lucky to be here without a doubt. But they're here. And I got a couple of stats for you guys. Dome teams historically, of course, struggle in the NFL playoffs. When it's below 40 degrees, dome teams are 5-26. When it's below freezing, they're 2-15. It's going to be below freezing, I'm hearing, on Sunday there in Chicago. It's possibly going to snow. I hate that I'm picking them. I think the Bears are going to the NFC Championship game.
Oh, my God.
I think they're riding that fluke win last week to the NFC Championship game. I don't like. That's why I told Guru. I don't think he. Maybe I'll jinx them by picking them, but I honestly think you're going to see LA struggle in that cold weather.
Oh my God! Oh, what are we doing here, Jack?
We should be picking the Packers game that they choked.
I don't care. Where did Matthew Stafford play for the majority of his career?
In a dome. Detroit
Where
Stadium.
did he have to go to?
A dome.
Where did he have to go to? He had to come to Lambeau.
Yeah.
He had to go to Chicago. He had to go to that crap hole in Minnesota.
Which is a dome. And he struggled.
It was a crap hole
He struggled
in Minnesota.
at Lambeau. I don't remember his record in Chicago, but Chicago was a train wreck.
Where did Tay play? Where did Tay play for the majority of his career? In freaking Lambeau. That man owns the Bears. He owns the freaking Chicago Bears. Give me Matthew Stafford. Give me Devontae Adams. And give me Puka Nacua. The Rams are going to win this game. And they're setting up an NFC West showdown in the NFC Championship.
I hope Kevin's right, but I don't think
God, you can't believe you picked the freaking Bears, bro.
I'm not going to get over passionate about this one. I don't really care, but I am going to go with the Rams, and I just want to go to Monday night.
All right, let's get to the big game, our game of the week, without a doubt.
game of the week.
The national championship game. We always have a game of the week, Kevin.
You didn't even have a wild card this week.
No, because we had enough.
We had enough wild cards.
That was a decision made when we were putting out the layout for the show. No wild card this week. National championship game, Miami 13-2 versus undefeated 15-0 Indiana. It's being played at Hard Rock Stadium there in Miami. Will that matter when it comes to this matchup? Will it matter at the end of the day? Indiana feels like they're a team of destiny, guys. I mean, they really look like they're that team that just is on that mission. But Miami, people told them they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. People told them they don't belong here. They've gone out of their way to prove they belong here. I think it's going to be a closer game than Indiana has had yet in the playoffs. But give me the Hoosiers by at least 2 scores.
Wow, 2 scores?
2 scores.
Well, as Taylor Swift says, Dom Perignon, you brought it. But there's going to be...
He's muted. You had to go to... You almost had a perfect game. You had a perfect game going. Had to go to Taylor Swift. Give us your pick.
I'm picking Indiana, and I think it's going to be probably by 21. I think this is going to be a Notre Dame, Alabama type game. After they ruined Dan Lanning and the Ducks, I just don't see them stopping because of Miami. I know it's in Miami, and it's all about the U, but my gosh, Indiana's insane.
Indiana fans packed out the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an Indiana crowd. I wouldn't be shocked to see them do it because they've never been a part of something like this. But the floor is yours.
So before the Ole Miss Miami game, when I came back from delivery, 3 days before that game, what I tell y'all was on TV?
The U documentary.
Part 2. I cannot make this up. If I could show you my viewing history on Hulu, I would. When I came in Tuesday night from delivering papers, part 1 of the U was on, and I watched it. You know, there's only been 2 times that the Miami Hurricanes have played for a national championship in their own stadium, and they won both of them. One of them was against the Nebraska team that at that time in 1983 was considered the best college football team in the history of the game. Miami won. Indiana right now sitting at 15-0 could be the first team in the modern era of college football to go 16-0 and win a national championship. And they would do so by knocking off the Hurricanes in Miami. As much as I want to pick Miami, after watching that shellacking, first of Alabama, which we kind of thought was, okay, we didn't think Alabama belonged here. But then to do it against Dan Lanning and Oregon,
yeah,
in that fashion, it doesn't remind me as much of, what'd you say, Alabama Notre Dame as it does the Georgia TCU game.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
oh,
He's going there.
At the end of the day, baby, come on. It's all about the youth, son. Miami is going to do the unthinkable. What nobody in this country outside of that Hurricane locker room thinks can happen. Miami will beat Indiana by the same score that they beat Nebraska in 1983, and that's 31-30. Canes are your national champions for 2025.
There's Goose pick. Hey, a lot of people are probably happy all 3 of us didn't pick the same team in that one.
You're right.
We'll see. And next week, we'll have a fun conversation about whether or not Guru is Nostra Guru and able to be the one person that is picking Miami, or will the odds-on favorite Indiana get it done and prove Kevin and I right? We'll find that out next week. Guys, this has been the Laurel Leader Call Sports Show. And for Kevan Lindsey and Josh Guru Nichols, I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds. We'll see y'all next week.